This is about keeping weapons out of the hands of terrorists and rogue actors. This is about reducing the risk of international transfers of conventional arms that will be used to carry out the world's worst crimes.
A global arms trade treaty that's aim is to keep weapons out of the hands of human rights abusers and criminals came into force last week. Though the United States signed the treaty in September of 2013, the Senate has yet to ratify it. Now, joining us on Midpoint, conservative radio talker as well as spokesman, strategist, and writer, Josh Bernstein joins us on this Friday afternoon. Hi, Josh.
Great to be with you.
Well, thanks for joining us. This treaty is being touted as a way to combat terrorists, but many say it's just another way to restrict gun ownership. Curious about your opinion.
Well, that's absolutely true. It is. And if you look at Article 2 of this, it prohibits the right to own, buy, sell, and trade firearms. Now, what this could do if it is ultimately ratified, which let's hope and pray that it is not, it could actually supersede the United States Constitution. Therefore, it's another way for the globalists to grab guns. Now, if we know 262 million people have been murdered and slaughtered by governments that have taken the guns away from the people to protect themselves. And the reason it hasn't ever happened here in America is because, thankfully, 80 million of us are strongly armed. And that's why we've never had an invasion from another country or anything of that nature. And so, again, this is a very dangerous and egregious act. It's just another way to get rid of our sovereignty. And it's very scary. And the scary part is that I don't believe this will be ratified, obviously, with the new Senate coming in. But the fact is that it has been signed. John Kerry has signed this, which therefore means that if it's not done now, it's still sitting on the shelf. It could be brushed off, have the dust blown off it, and it could be brought back up in the years to come.
Well, take on Secretary Kerry on that point, because in that soundbite we played, he says basically they're trying to get the guns out of the hands of the terrorists and the rogue actors around the world. Why is he wrong about that?
Well, he's definitely wrong about that. I mean, look at our own foreign policy. We armed al-Qaeda in Jordan by the CIA, and then we armed them in Syria to take out the Assad regime. That didn't go so well. So this enemy of my enemy is my friend foreign policy is very, very dangerous. But keeping that aside, if you just look at history, Pol Pot, Hitler, Stalin, all these people, all these dictators have taken the guns away from their people and have murdered and slaughtered their people. This is coming from an anti-war Secretary of State who threw his medals in the garbage and said that, we were burning women and children and killing people. It's unbelievable. It's really quite dangerous, to be honest with you. And I don't know what can be done in the new Congress if the Senate can maybe pass, legislation nullifying the signature. I don't believe that is possible. But all I know is we have to make sure that this is never ratified.
Critics like yourself, Josh, say basically this will require an international gun registry. Is that really a true fear that you have?
It is a true fear. And look, this isn't right-wing speak. First is registration, second is confiscation, and third, unfortunately, is extermination. And all you have to do is look through history and you can find that is an actual fact. And so I think that this is another, again, globalist gun grab. This is something by the hard left, not just in America, but around the world. And this is something that has been talked about since the late 1990s when a couple of peacenik Nobel Peace Prize laureates came about with this and pushed it towards the United Nations.
I want to pick up on that, Josh, because as you mentioned, it is around the world. So there are a lot of people in favor of it. Is it your concern right now that what they're doing will spread to the United States?
Absolutely. And if you look at the folks that are against this, it's Iran, it's North Korea, it's Saudi Arabia, it's Turkey, it's all these other, Russia, China, all these countries that are basically third world dictatorships that rule with an iron fist their people. Those are the ones that are against this. Okay, it's not some of the other countries out there. So again, America has signed it. Thank God they have not ratified it. But look, when you take the guns away from the people, they can't protect themselves. 262 million people have been murdered and slaughtered, like I said earlier. That's, that's 3/4 of the population of the entire United States of America. And it's pretty scary to think, that this could go on. And again, if this is ratified, I understand where they're coming from as far as trying to keep the guns out of, third world dictatorships. But the bottom line is, if you look at, the Rwanda situation, the Tutsis, they took away the guns and they slaughtered those people. You had Pol Pot in Cambodia. He took the guns away and he slaughtered millions of peasants. Idi Amin in Uganda. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So again, I would like to see us obviously never ratify this, but ultimately, I don't believe that the United Nations is something that we even need to really be a part of. I mean, I think in a lot of respects, it's a pretty anti-American organization these days.
All right, Josh, I want to get to some pro-gun groups are saying if the Senate doesn't act on the treaty, President Obama could use executive action to go around congressional ratification. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've saw what he's done with executive amnesty, and the sad part is that John Boehner has not done anything to stop it or thwart it, instead of kicking the can down the road. So that is a very dangerous thing. I mean, he's used executive orders for Obamacare. He's used it for the environment. He's used it for gun control. Let's not forget the 23 things that he passed back in I think 2013 as far as gun control. So look, I wouldn't put it past him. I'm hoping that the Republicans that come in will stop him. Obviously, it'd be pretty hard to override the executive order, but it can be done. I believe there's a lot of people, even on the left and even in the middle, and some of the liberal wing of the Democrats, even they probably understand the dangers of this. And I think we just need to be activists, and we need to put the pressure on the Republican senators as well as some of these Democrats and get the amount of votes to block this.
Well, some people are also saying that international law would really trump domestic law. Your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, that's just the thing. If you look at some of the information, Article 2 of this treaty actually says that this would be for all means of armed resistance. So in other words, these countries that have arms to protect themselves from home invasions, from crime, from their government, this treaty would actually supersede that. And that's why I said that this would actually be an infringement upon America's Second Amendment if, God forbid, ratified.
All right, Josh.
By the U.S. Senate.
Appreciate your comments. We, again, thank you so much for appearing on Midpoint today. And after the break, the raising of federal interest rates might come sooner than expected. The return of the money master when Midpoint continues.